And are we live? We are live today. We're trying a new thing here at Home-Based Business Success. Let's play a little intro music and then get into our program. And there we go. This is Ralph from www.growwithralph.com and the Home-Based Business Success Program. And we're trying a couple different things today with this podcast. First, we are live. I had been wanting to do some live podcasts on a regular basis, and then I found out that we were having just significant problems with the live stream turning out properly. The audio was just not turning out properly. It sounded like I was talking while gargling underwater. But I think we got that ironed out, so this is kind of a test program in that regard. So, something new we're trying there. If this works, what I want to do is to do a live stream on Christmas morning going into Christmas afternoon. That will be Friday. I realize a lot of people out there just do not, have the ability to get out. A lot of people still in lockdown, countries that are still going into yet another lockdown, more restrictions. A lot of folks are either saying, I won't be home for Christmas, or I'm stuck at home for Christmas. So I thought what we do is this Friday about 11 o'clock our time, try a Christmas live stream. Nothing major, nothing deep, nothing too businessy. We're just going to keep it light, airy, and play an awful lot of Christmas songs and just hang out for a couple of hours. So if this podcast works out well live today, then we'll plan on doing that live stream Friday. Now, we will be taking tomorrow off. I've got a lot of projects that I've had on the back burner that just need to be moved up to the front burner. So I'm taking off tomorrow, and we'll be doing some blogging, web work, get my pages, my websites caught up a little bit, and then we'll be back to normal on Friday with a little Christmas program. But yeah, we will be taking tomorrow off. Now, this program, this podcast, we're going to be talking about a topic that you generally don't hear a whole lot about in entrepreneurial circles, and that is the topic of meditation. But today what I want to cover is just talk a little bit from my own experience about how meditation can help you in your own home-based business. Meditation is a great practice for calming your mind, finding serenity, finding peace, even when you're stuck in a very tumultuous, I can't say that word, a very tumultuous, even when you can't speak English, very good, folks. Yeah, when you're going through trying times. Not the word I was looking for, but it's a word I can pronounce. But yeah, even when you're going through extremely trying times, meditation can help you find serenity, some peace, some focus. And when you're trying to run a home-based business, you got a lot of stresses. You got a lot of stressors that can really send you over the edge if you let it. And that's where I value meditation, no matter how bad things can get in home-based business or your personal life or your spiritual life. If you have the ability to just find a peaceful place and calm down, just settle down for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, a half hour to an hour, you can actually find some peace, find some serenity, and find some stillness in this crazy, hectic world that we sometimes find ourselves living in. We can change the energy, change our outlook on the world, and by changing our energy and changing our outlook, we can actually do a lot to change the world around us. If by nothing else, just by changing the way we perceive it and understand it. Wayne Dyer gave a beautiful quote a long, long time ago. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And meditation is one tool that we can use to help change the way we look at things and get a new perspective on life, the universe, and everything, to quote Mr. Adams, Douglas Adams. So, yeah, we will get into a little topic, a little discussion about meditation, and then what I want to do with the remainder of this broadcast is to give you a little taste of meditation for those of you who have never meditated before. I'm going to give some really basic instructions on how to get into a meditative state, and then we'll play some music by Susan Teng, courtesy of Magnatune. They have music here that you can license for podcasts, and I have such a license, and I like not all of their stuff, but a lot of their stuff. And Susan Teng is just beautiful, beautiful music for meditation. So we'll be playing some of that. So that will be the second half of our broadcast. So if you are currently driving a car, if you're operating any heavy machinery, if you're doing something that can be negatively impacted by going into an altered state of consciousness, you may want to turn this podcast off or download it, save it for later when we get into that second half. But the first half, we're just going to talk about meditation, and then the second half, we're actually going to do a little bit of meditation. So let's jump into it. I've been meditating for a long time. I learned meditation in high school seminary. They had something that they called centering prayer, which is kind of like the Catholic version of Buddhist meditation, Hindu meditation, and it's a form of meditation where you just go into it for 20 minutes, and then you come out of it. And, I tried it, I liked it, and so I thought, well, if this centering prayer is good, how about if I was reading a lot about world religions, even way back in high school, and I thought, well, why don't I just go deeply into Buddhist meditation? And I began practicing that form of meditation and just got myself to the point where I could sit in a lotus position and meditate for 30 minutes, an hour. Generally, I didn't go longer than an hour. That was about, my sweet spot there was 1 hour of meditation. But, I just felt really good after doing that meditation. And then I got older, I got more sophisticated, I got away from the practice of meditation and just really started getting into a spot where my life was in a mess. I was not making the best decisions. I was getting into some pretty bad personal problems via addiction and alcoholism. And back in, 2007, 2006, going on my 14-year anniversary of recovery and sobriety through the Fellowship of AA. But yeah, about 14 years this month. That's my Christmas present to me, is my AA anniversary, 14 years of recovery. And I did it by just getting back into that practice of meditation. I had a couple sponsors my last time through in the AA program. Was doing it online. Both of my sponsors were going back to like the very early days of AA, the days of the Oxford movement, and the Oxford group, rather. And I was talking to them, and I said, I'm thinking about going into the practice of meditation, meditating like an hour in the morning, a half hour in the afternoon, and about an hour in the evening. I need something that's going to calm me down, something that's going to get me through this period of withdrawal. And both my sponsors said, that sounds great. Matter of fact, one was active in the early Oxford group. And he said, I don't know where you got this idea from, but you are following a practice that the early Oxford group practiced. They called it quiet time, but they did like about an hour of meditation in the morning, maybe another half hour in the afternoon, and then another hour towards evening. And he said, Ralph, if you can stick to that practice, I think your odds of recovery are going to be significantly improved. And that was all the encouragement that I needed. I threw myself back into that practice of meditation. And I discovered that meditation, it's kind of like the AA movement itself. It works if you work it. If you don't work it, like I had spent years and years just not using meditation, not doing meditation. I knew how to do it, but I wasn't practicing it. And that's the thing that's really started to jump out at me. I had this tool all along that I could use to help me recover, both mentally, spiritually, and physically, but I wasn't using it. So finally, 14 years ago, I sat down, I started using it, been using it ever since, and my life really turned around. But now, what I also discovered about 4 years ago is that meditation can not only be helpful for your spiritual life, to help you recover physically from physical ailments. I'm not trying to treat or diagnose any ailments here in this podcast. Just sharing a little bit of my background, my experience, strength, and hope here for folks that may be in need. But if you want to check out meditation for yourself and you have any ailments that require a doctor's assistance, talk to your doctor and see if meditation is right for you. Doesn't require a prescription, but getting some qualified medical advice is never a bad thing. I think sometimes that's a very, very good thing. But yeah, I just found out through my own experience that meditation could actually help you when you faced difficult times in your own home-based business. We went through our own personal year from hell about 4 years ago. We just had a lot going on. Some unexpected things just happened. My mom, January of that year, died rather unexpectedly from complications of Alzheimer's disease. And she was rather sick there, and then she looked like she was recovering, and I thought she had turned a corner, that she was going to get better and recover. Then later that night, it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. She died. And, just very unexpectedly. Then later that day, we got evicted from some business property that we were, trying to buy. We had a gentleman's agreement, and that gentleman's agreement just fell through that very same day. And we had to move. We were given 7 days to get the heck off that property. And in our state, I think you need 30 to 90 days for a formal eviction. I could have held the guy to that. I was in kind of a state of shock. I didn't. We just got the hell out of there. Did not feel like fighting. Just felt like getting the heck out of there and moving on with our life. And we were. We got things back together again. And then later on, about 30 days later, I had 3 exploratory businesses that had been checking out just to see, okay, they were new businesses. All the businesses had been around for about 9 months, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, but they were new startup businesses around cryptocurrency. And I thought, let's give this a try. Let's see. I wanted to diversify my business portfolio. So I thought we'd give that a shot. Well, all three of those businesses that year fell, one right after the other. One fell. I had a couple $1,000s wrapped up in it. That fell. That was gone. That disappeared. And then I had another business that I had a couple $1,000s wrapped up in. That fell through. That was gone. Now I had a third business. Only had about $500 wrapped up in that, but that fell, and that was gone. I mean, all that same year, just back to back to back to back to back. Disasters, or so it seemed. But meditation got me through it. And throughout all that struggle, that year from hell, we had our one good business that really sustained. It was going strong. It sustained us. We were able to grow it, even in spite of those other disasters and those other, just disasters. I guess that's the best word I can use for it. And there was a point, though, where I was talking to my wife, and I noticed that the local gas station was advertising they were needing clerks, possibly an assistant manager. I thought I had some retail experience, so I thought, why don't we just call this home-based business stuff, why don't we just call it quits, and I can go and see if I can get a job with that gas station, maybe work my way up to assistant manager or manager. I still felt like I was young enough to do that, even though I was, middle age. And my wife just looked at me and said, if that's what you want to manifest in your life, that's the way she put it. If that is what you want to manifest in your life, to be working like a slave for someone else, for another corporation, then go do it. But personally, I think you're nuts if you go there. I know I'm lucky because most people in home-based business do not get that level of support from their spouse or significant other. Now, my wife and I were both entrepreneurs, and we're both very spiritual people, and that's the way she saw it, and she let me know. And I thought, she's right. So I sat down, got back into my practice of meditation after those disasters, and just got refocused, got my focus back, got my mental clarity back. I got that fear that was welling up inside of me and put that on the back burner, and just found that peace and serenity and calmness where I could actually make some good decisions in my personal life, my spiritual life, and my business life, because when you're going through a period of upheaval and turmoil, you're not thinking very clearly. Usually we're emoting out of fear, out of dread, out of worry, and that clouds the mind. We go into a state of mental delusion is what the Bhagavad Gita calls it, what the Eastern mystics call it. In the West, we just call it, Tuesday. But no, we go through a state of mental delusion. And that delusion can bring us down. It can destroy our inner calm, destroy our spiritual life, destroy us mentally, eventually destroy us physically if we let it. And what meditation does is that it gives us a way out of that mental delusion. Now, meditation may not be for everybody. I'm one of those folks that thinks, meditation, it's so wonderful, so good, everybody should be doing it. But I realize that not everybody is going to find value in meditation. You may find value in other things like, I don't know, screaming, yelling, drugs, alcohol, stuff like that. Not to belittle any of that. I mean, I just said no to that stuff. I still scream and yell when times get tough, and then I catch myself and I sit down and do some meditation and get over it. But I mean, we all go through periods where we have our own personal upheavals, and we can give in to that inner turmoil, or we can find a way to address it and get over it and work our way through it. And one tool that has worked for me is the practice of meditation. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to play a little Christmas song, and then we're going to give a little instruction on how to do meditation, and then we're going to have a brief period, about 10 minutes. Let's do about 10 minutes. A 10-minute period of meditation, and then we'll close out this podcast. So first, let's play a little bit of Christmas music. We got We Three Kings again. Let's play that, and then we'll get into the rest of our podcast. And we are back, and we are going to be talking about meditation. This is the second half of our program. And first of all, just want to throw out a couple disclaimers. First of all, I used to be of the opinion that everyone and their dog and cat could benefit from the practice of meditation. And then I spent some time listening to Swami Kriyananda, a very, very beautiful old soul that gave some beautiful teachings. He's since left this material realm and has moved on to better things. But he said that not everyone should practice meditation. And when I heard him say that, I thought, wait a minute. What are you saying there? And he explained. He said there are some people that obviously, meditation's not going to appeal to them. Don't do it if it doesn't appeal to you. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, then give it a shot. Don't do it just because I say it's a good thing to do. And he also made another observation that over the years he discovered that people with certain mental conditions, like schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenics, the folks that hear voices, he said meditation should be avoided by people like that. And the reason is that he found that when folks like that quiet down in the practice of meditation, it creates the perfect mental environment for those voices to just break through. And so he said he did not recommend meditation for just anybody, especially if you have a mental condition like schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenic. Check with your doctor. I know earlier I said check with your doctor to see if meditation is right for you. I didn't really mean that as flippantly as it may have sounded, because, there are some folks that may not benefit from a practice of meditation. And some folks, the practice might actually do more harm than good. And for folks with certain mental conditions, it may be better not to do, the silent meditation. And instead just keep active, be of service to others, do something that you love, help other people. That can be an active form of meditation that will help you feel better, help you be calm, find a certain sense of calm, purpose, and meaning in life, and not create an environment where the voices in your head might get the better of you. This is a serious thing. I'm not saying this jokingly right now. I love to joke around, but that is a serious observation. And so, check with your doctor if you're on any kind of medication, if you're on any kind of a medical program. Talk to your doctor. Tell your doctor that you'd like to work meditation into your health regimen, and then find out if there's something that you should be doing differently as a result of your meditation practice, and just go from there. There's a lot of benefit to meditation, but again, this isn't a practice for everyone. Now, if you're of average health, average, person, average capabilities, you probably will benefit from the practice of meditation. But, get into it slow, get into it easy, check it out with your medical professionals, and see if this is right for you. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to give some basic instructions on how to meditate for those of you who are still with me and want to do this. And then we will play some soft music and just enter into a state of meditation for about 10 minutes. And then we'll wrap this program up. But, once again, if you're driving a car, operating any kind of heavy machinery, you may want to turn this podcast off and resume it later when you can safely go into an altered state of consciousness or a meditative state. I just like to call it the meditative state. Other folks like to call it an altered state of consciousness. It's both, but I prefer meditative state, a little less mystical there. I like to demystify things. So with that said, let's get into it. To begin a practice of meditation, the important thing is to find a quiet spot where you are not likely to be disturbed. Quiet spot where you can just be at peace for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a half hour, an hour, however long you want to make your meditation session last. And then take the phone off the hook. If you've got an old-fashioned landline phone, disconnect it, take it off the hook. Turn off your cell phone, turn off your smartphone, turn off your computer, turn off any noise-making device that you can turn off. I mean, in our world today, we got so many distractions. It's hard to find peace and quiet in our lives. We seem to be hardwired to relax while listening to noise. And it's important, I think, to take a little bit of time each day and just settle down and find that inner silence and be at peace with the universe as we understand the universe and the divine source as we understand that divine source, even if it happens to be just our higher power. However you understand that, go with it. Let it be your starting point. Yeah, find that quiet spot where you're not likely to be disturbed, and then settle down in a comfortable position. You don't have to get into a lotus position. I used to do that, then I got out of the practice, then I got back into the practice about the midpoint in life, shall we say, and I just found my legs no longer bend like they used to. So for me, just sitting in a comfortable chair is good enough, and it works. And if that's where you're starting at, then that's perfect. Find a comfortable spot, a comfortable chair. Don't get so comfortable that you're likely to fall asleep, but no, find a comfortable position where you can sit quietly for about 10, 15 minutes, however long you want it to last, and just settle down. Now, calmly breathe in through your nose, breathe in deeply, hold the breath, and then exhale through your nose. And just spend a few minutes breathing in deeply, holding the breath, and expelling the breath. Now, optimally, I think the practice is to breathe in through your nose. That is what is recommended. That's what I find the best benefit, the greatest benefit in. But a lot of people, especially in the West, we are not nasal breathers. We tend to be mouth breathers. And if you find it difficult to breathe in through your nose, if you're congested, if you've got allergies, cold, flu, anything like that, then breathing in through your mouth and exhaling through your mouth, perfectly acceptable too. What my dad did when he had breathing problems, I got him into the practice of meditation. He would breathe in deeply through his nose, exhale through his mouth. That worked for him. He was on oxygen. That's how he could do it, and that's how he did it. So whatever works for you, but the important thing, breathe in deeply, fully, and completely. Fill up your lungs. Again, in the West, we tend not to breathe in deeply. We tend to be shallow breathers. We don't really fill our lungs completely. So with meditation, you can practice just some deep breathing exercises. Do not fill your lungs to the point where it's painful, but just breathe in deeply as you comfortably can, and then hold the breath, and then exhale the breath. And during this process, it helps to close your eyes. This is why, I'm saying if you're driving a car, please turn this podcast off. If you're doing anything dangerous, don't be doing this. But if you're in a spot where you're safe, secure, quiet, close your eyes. And then breathe in deeply. And just go with that for a few minutes. And then what you can do, like we're going to do here, you can play some nice, soft, gentle music. And when the music is done, you can end your meditation session. It's kind of a natural way of going into the state of meditation and a natural way of coming out of it. In my beginning experiences with meditation, this form of meditation, I had a 45-minute CD that was just chanting, Gregorian chants. Very soft, very gentle music, and it was a 45-minute CD, so I'd sit down in my quiet spot, light a candle, tea light candle. They burn safely, usually. And then I'd put on that music. And I would just sit there quietly for about 45 minutes, just communing with my higher power, the universe of my understanding, and the divine source of my understanding. Just hanging out for about 45 minutes. And then when that music ended, I would just naturally come out of that meditative state, and I'd be set to go about my day. So you may want to adopt a practice like that. But for today's example, we're going to play some soft music by Susan Teng. And then when that music is concluded, our session will be concluded. But those are the basics. So let's just get into it, starting now. Find yourself in a calm, seated position. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Inhale very deeply. Hold the breath for a few moments. And then exhale the breath completely. And repeat. Do that deep breathing exercise for a few minutes. And just feel the peace entering into your body and any distress leaving your body. You might say to yourself, I breathe in peace. I exhale negativity. I breathe in peace. I exhale negativity. And just go with that. And then after a while, just return to a normal pattern of breathing. Keep your eyes closed. If any distractions arise, dismiss them. And come back to the meditative state. Inhale, hold, exhale. Find your peaceful center. This has been the Home-Based Business Success Podcast, presented by Hermetic Temple Radio. We will be back again later this week. Until then, have a Merry Christmas.